Wi-Fi is a little spotty here, so it might.
Yeah, it's here in Texas, 28 degrees here in Texas, man. So I'm not even thinking straight, man. Again, what's up, everybody? Money Blake Weather, your boy Blake, Money Blake Weather. Another episode of Loaded Joe's MMA podcast. How's everybody doing? Thank you for joining me on this Sunday. Of course, we have an awesome guest. Again, shout outs to all of our sponsors right below. I don't even want to do this again because this is our second time recording this real quick. Gear Athletics, NOP Media, Austin Kickboxing Academy, Zen Soap, Fightbook MMA, Total Nutrition. Get at them if you need any one of those services. They're probably the only service I use out of each one of those. And again, shout outs to Gear big time on this one for setting up this interview. We got my boy Daniel Jolly from Austin, but he's joining us all the way from American Top Team. You were just getting into with me again before this, and then before that, on how Top Team's been treating you, man. Let's start from the beginning here. It's probably this is where we should have started off at. Last time I spoke with you, you reached out to me, and this was shortly after you came back from Canada, shortly after you made your pro debut. You had fought Misha Serkinov, and you come off your first loss, debut in the UFC. I know there's a lot of emotions. A lot of people were still supporting you here, still supporting you. So let's start from the beginning, man. What was that moment where it hit your head and you're like, fuck, man, I know you had an injury, you had a knee injury, but what was that moment you were like, all right, if I want to do this, I gotta go 100% balls to the wall for this camp, and what made you want to make that move out to ATT, my man?
Honestly, I think it had a lot to do with just in the moment. I know that they had signed Misha outright, and I know that he was preparing for it and things like that. And there's a feel to it. It's almost like visceral, something instinctual, especially in those first initial moments when you're feeling each other out. And I could just see there was a composure and just a downright professionalism about it from being prepared. Yeah. I'm not a Mystic Mac type per se where you're going to make any predictions or anything like that, but there's a certain process that you need to go through to be prepared to even have a chance. You know what I'm saying? And I know that for me, I had sold myself short just by circumstance, by no fault of anyone else. But it was like I just knew to be at this level, to compete with these type of guys, and the feeling that I got from being in there with him, that I needed to do more. And I had to find something to make me so uncomfortable that it would make that situation the next time I went into it comfortable. Right. Or to normalize it, so that was the whole beginning of this process. Is I had to take something like that and try to normalize it as much as possible so I can get in there and be my best self, so I can even have a chance at winning at this level. So that's what this whole journey has been about.
And I mean, it's not any fault to, I think, any of the staff down here, because, of course, I've seen you in Austin Kickboxing Academy. I've seen you at the Honored Academy. So I don't think it's any fault to anybody here, but this is more of like your own personal growth, I think, is what I'm getting out of this. Is that what I'm understanding, man?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not that I'm coming out here learning, magic tricks or anything like that. Right. I'm coming here with a skill set that was cultivated with all of my instructors and training partners and the people that I grew up in this sport with in the Central Texas, Austin-based community, Yeah. But once you get to a certain point, there's only a handful of guys, in the world who are, over 6 feet tall, over 225 pounds, athletic, willing to fight, doing this at so it's like you need those bodies and you need those experiences, and you can't experience that for one night under the bright lights. Right. You need to be around those people. You need to be in the lion's den. You know, so I needed to put myself in a pressure cooker situation and just surround myself with the type of people who are striving for what I'm striving for on a day-to-day basis, so I could learn how to compete like that every day.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So
and with that in mind, I mean, and I wanted to touch on this too, because I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of you know, it's a lot of motherfuckers like you, man. Like a lot of fighters, they take that first L. Maybe even they take that first L inside of the octagon, man. And to hear from a fighter like you, I mean, of course, it took you a little bit while. You did have a bit of an injury, and that you were coming back on. But it sounds like you're healthy 100%. But I'm just saying, I think this is an important message for fighters like that, because they have to see, you know, it's good to take a step back. It's good to reevaluate. But what prompted you to go to, say, ATT above something like someplace closer like Albuquerque or Jackson's, or, you know, somewhere as far away as AKA or TriStar, man? What was it that set you? You're like, fuck, I love this camp. Did you just try it out and then were like, I'm sold, man? Tell me what else you got.
Yeah, I think it's just because the management company that I'm with is in South Florida as well. They're well connected. I have people here that I already know, that I was familiar with. So, of course, this was going to be kind of the first place that I wanted to try out. And so even before this camp had came to pass, I came out here for a week.
Okay.
Before I even decided to do the training camp out here, and it just clicked. So, like I said, after that initial week of being here, I just knew this was where I was going to do the camp. So it wasn't because I was really picking one over the other and things like that. Like I said, I think it's just this the setup, and then, like I said, once I actually got here, luckily there was the convenience, and then I got here, and then the chemistry.
Right.
It made it a very easy process to where I didn't have to bounce around or try other places or anything like that. So
that's good, man.
I guess I was lucky in that regard too.
Yeah, you got connections like Rick Ross down in Florida. I got you, man. You know, we keep it crazy over here. But yeah, man, that's awesome. And I mean, of course, we're friends on Facebook. I'm following your journey. I'm wondering, I'm like, what are you doing at ATT? Wait a minute now. How long had you known about this fight before UFC announced it? Because it seems like they just announced it, I think, maybe like this week or like last week.
Yeah.
How long you know about it, though?
I've been here for a little while, you know. You know, so it's going on about a month or so.
Okay,
you know how it goes. So.
Yeah, yeah, man, I do know how that goes, man. Hearing the inside word and shit.
You drop a little hints every now and then, and take a little photo here, a little photo there before it blows up, or you know they officially announce it, and then you know these things fall through, people get hurt, all those type of stuff. So it's almost like you don't want to get ahead of yourself either. You want to make sure all the contracts are signed, that they actually put you. Like I said, you want the UFC to make the first move. You know, so it's just my job to prepare. You know, and then once it's all set in stone, then I'll double down on that kind of stuff and really start letting people know and promoting the fight and things like that, like we're doing today. You know, talking about it and everything like that. So. Yeah, but I've been here for a little while, getting ready for this. So, like I said, I want to put on a performance just worthy of the time that I put in, and I want to enjoy it. You know, and you can't enjoy it if you're worried about if I did enough. So I just want to silence all those kind of questions, so I can go out there and actually enjoy this experience this time. Right.
And I kind of want to like touch on that with you, man, because I think even at this level, I mean, like you were saying, but I've still seen you've been training, like, in the meantime. Like, for people that haven't been keeping up with Werewolf of Texas, and they're like, oh, man, he made his debut. Now where's he at? Like, it's not like you haven't been training or haven't been recovering. Like, I see you all the time. I used to see you all the time at Austin Kickboxing Academy, see you when I would go to On It, see you tagging in yourself at the cryotherapy. So with that in mind, I mean, of course, you've still been training all year round, and you're still very cerebral about the sport. I think that's a great thing, because we've had, conversations about, so and so being in UFC and what do we think about this. I like the dynamic that you're very cerebral about your take on the sport, and I think that's an important way to be. With that in mind, though, talk me through taking that from here in Austin, because I know your day-to-day life here. What's your day-to-day life now in Florida? It's not beaches and titties and all that good shit and popping bottles, but what's your day-to-day life though now that I don't want to say training full-time, because you're always kind of training full-time, but like training over there, training in a different environment.
We just it's 6 days a week here. I will say this: like you train every day and you train hard, but there's an interesting balance here that I think they do a really good job of managing. Yes, you're a part of the team, and there's a certain expectation with that, and there's a structure that comes along with that. But there's also an autonomy, where they want you to kind of know yourself, know what you need, be a self-starter, and seek out the help that you need to prepare for your fights. So even within that structure, there's that kind of flexibility where you have input into it, and
right.
And like I said, so there that balance between what you need to get done and how the fighter feels and what the coaches want to see from you. I think we're doing a very good job of navigating that space. So like I said, for me, some days, sometimes it's 5 days a week, sometimes it's 6, 6 days a week. Sometimes, you're doing 3 sessions. Sometimes it's 2, maybe you have to, stretch, whatever, you know what I mean? You
right.
Especially with these long camps, you know what I mean? Like you just have to put it together, the fight's so close now, obviously, the pedal's down, you know what I mean? And if I am feeling a little good or whatever, I'm still going to get up and put in the work, because you don't have that kind of luxury, 3-4 weeks out from the fight and things like that. But like I said, there's a structure where you will have something to do and you'll be able to compete and get your work done 6 days a week here, but you have the freedom to kind of navigate that space. But like I said, I ain't going to the beach, I haven't been out on the weekends, and I can't, I've never been to Miami. Probably I'll never make it there while I'm here. So, yeah, you're here to work. You're here to work,
Right, man. And with that in mind, man, what do you miss most about home, man? Because we all over here in Austin, man. I know it's a lot of things to miss, even if you're just going on a little vacation. But you out there for a long time. What are you missing most about home, man?
My wife. Honestly, my wife. I miss my wife. I mean, that's my best friend. I tend to be a homebody, so I spend a majority of my time with her when I'm not training. So, now that time that was spent with her and hanging out and, watching Netflix and just, she does a good job of finding things for us to do and has even encouraged me to do the same. So I'm not exploring very many things, and I'm not hanging out with my buddy,
Right,
so
right.
I'm spending a lot of time by myself with my face in a PlayStation Vita, or so that kind of stuff,
What about food-wise, man? What are you missing most home about, like, food-wise?
Pious pizza. I mean, do we need to start that? You're gonna give me like that right now? Yeah. There's a list. There's a list. I'm coming back. And I'm gonna terrorize. There's all types of food I gotta get at.
Get that fight win bonus and come back here and just shopping spree it up. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And Jolly, another thing, man, with the fact that how much easier really is it that you're in a place like ATT that has a earlier last year they built the newer, bigger gym, and so now it's got a whole bunch more space. But how much easier is it? And I don't know if you're training at multiple places. I'm sure you're just training at the one place, but I know here in Austin, you kind of between AKA, maybe someplace else, do jiu-jitsu on it. How much easier now is to have everything kind of under one roof? Did you like going to? I mean, what's up with that, man?
I mean, the convenience of it is amazing. I mean, you're extremely focused. It's kind of funny because, like I said, as far as being comfortable or uncomfortable, if someone has to contact you on the cell phone and you have to drive over there and all those things can kind of fall through the cracks.
Right.
If it's on the schedule and you're an elevator ride away from the coaches, you might as well get your mind right because you can't run. And you might get a knock on the door. So you might as well just go ahead, strap it up, and get down there. So it keeps you focused. It keeps you on point. And as far as this type of situation where it does get stressful and you kind of don't want to be juggling multiple things, outside of a training camp situation, that really doesn't bother me too much to drive and things like that. But as it gets closer and everything like that, I mean, you appreciate it. Everything is right here for you. You know where you're supposed to be. You know the training partners are going to be there. You're not, having to check the group text and like I said, it helps. All of those type of things are beneficial. The more you can unload yourself with, I guess, like the bureaucratic process of trying to manage your own fight camp, and you can just be on autopilot, I feel like that's kind of healthy. And then I'm not the best of communicators, so I was bad at that kind of stuff. So if it was up to me to put sparring sessions and things like that together, nobody would be getting any good training. So I was leaning on a lot of other people to kind of do that task. So to really have, like I said, a full team really facilitating that helps someone like me, get a good training camp going, because I'm not the best about coordinating training sessions.
Yeah, you can kind of relax a little bit more, it feels like, and kind of, I don't know what the word would be, but it feels like you can be a little bit more hands-off with the things you don't need to worry about as a fighter. You shouldn't have to worry about the coaches or managers or whoever the hell else can do. And you focus more time on training, getting ready for the fight, getting ready to beat somebody up here in your home state, stuff like that. So it's, I like that dynamic, man. I want you, though, as a fighter, man, if there's another fighter watching this fight, but not even familiar with you as a fighter, but just familiar enough with what we talked about on the podcast, what would be like, I don't want to say, what would be a good message, I would say, for you, for a fighter taking that first L, whether it's been in the UFC or been in a small organization and coming back, whether they came back from an injury too on top of that, because it's I mean, again, granted it's Misha Serkinov. He's probably easily going to be in the top 10. But it's been a bit of a setback, I think. And what would be your message, man, as a fighter, even if you go back in time, message to yourself right after that L was taken to where you're at now as far as mindset-wise, man, that you could give, or advice-wise, man, because this is a large part of the sport, man, Yeah,
I think without, like, kind of, because it can get cliche,
right.
Like,
right.
Like, let's start putting up the memes with, pick your favorite alpha predator and add all these quotes about coming back stronger and all those type of things,
Yeah.
So I know everyone's really familiar with that side of it, but I think it's important because when you get involved in this sport, and if you're being realistic about it, if you're constantly pushing yourself, if you're constantly striving and you keep meeting these goals on your bulletin board or whatever, especially in MMA, and I feel like 2016, 15, I mean, we've seen it. Everyone, for the most part, who's been anointed the king or they try to give them the air of invincibility has gotten their head chopped off at some point in time.
Right.
So if you fight long enough and you don't dodge people in this sport, you're probably going to catch an L. And if they can't find somebody to do it, Father Time is going to catch up with you.
Oh, goddamn.
You know, and someone young and hungry usually gets you. But losing is a part of it if you stay in it long enough and if you push hard enough. I feel like with MMA, it's a matter of time with all the variables and the styles and the matchups and the evolution and things, you know, people are bringing to the table, and you don't know there's so many things that can go right and so many things that can go wrong, that you need to be comfortable with the fact that there's a loss somewhere coming in your future from the day that you decide to step in a cage. But with that, it's like I said, that's when all that stuff starts to come into play. Far as being a champion and handling losses and things like that, I think that's, you know, where you get that backloaded information. But I think that's just the realization. I know when you're coming up, there's a lot of pressure. You know, everyone likes a clean sheet. It's easy to understand as far as the politics of the game. Whenever you're undefeated, you get places quicker, you know? But it's like once you cross those thresholds, you can't come back. You know, you win your first local title, you're a title holder. You know, that means you got 5-round fights. You can't go back. You know, you make it to the UFC, you're fighting a certain caliber of opponent. Right. You can't come back from that. You can't backslide. The only reward you get for success in this sport is a bigger challenge. Jesus. That's you know?
Yeah.
So it's a what did you do lately for me, you know? And everyone wants to see you tested. The more invincible people the general public thinks you are, the more they want to see you go through adversity. So you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for the highs and lows, or just don't get involved. If you want to come out of this unscathed, with your ego all intact, don't get in there. Just don't do it.
Or do it and then back it up like Conor McGregor. But no, again, took an L, you know, like you're talking about. But with your mindset, like you're talking about right now, would that mean, like, if you know, would that mean almost essentially, do you feel in a way like that this is almost like a new debut for you, a new second chance? And I say the mindset of, what have you done for me lately? Well, I'm sure people don't remember, and not knocking you or Misha Serkinov, but you guys' debut. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was so long ago. It was 2015. We're 2 years removed from that, year and a half removed from that. So it's almost like, do you feel a way in your mind like, okay, it's my way, my Etch-a-Sketch. I get to shake it and get to start all over again, and then get to show what I'm really about. Healthy, fresh, great fight camp, blah blah blah, fighting at home. You fucking name it. Does it almost feel like that to you, man? Does that not?
Definitely. This definitely has like a more of a debut feel to it than like a get in there. You know, when you're fighting in another country on 10 days notice, that's a whole different experience than going through a whole fight camp. And I think almost more than the loss, that was like, for me, that was the tragedy of it all, or the saddest part is, like I said, I didn't get in this thinking that you could never lose. That's just not the mindset that I have. Right. But to have that dream and to spend your adult life working towards making it to the UFC, and then to just be in a hurry, in a rush, or be, you know, bright-eyed or doe-eyed to where you didn't even get to enjoy the experience. You know, it's like I got there and it was just going 100 miles an hour, and, you know, it was like I was chasing behind it instead of being in the moment.
Right.
You know, so I've worked my entire adult life for this, you know, so I want to be present this time, you know, be prepared and be present and enjoy it. you know, the fight announcements and people getting excited about it and talking to you about it. You know, I'm not annoyed by this situation. This isn't like a hindrance of my time. You know, this is all being present. You know, this is what I wanted. You know, when you set out on this journey. You know, so I regardless of outcome, I just want to take it all in this time. You know, I don't want to be sitting in my room kind of trying to piece it together in retrospect, like what happened to me, you know, or what did I just do? I feel like everything, that was my first experience, you know, like it was just a big blur, and you spent this kind of like retroactively trying to figure out, you know, I just fought in the UFC. Who did I just, like, what am I'm in Canada, you know? So it's
right.
Yeah, like I said, I just want to enjoy it this time because I've worked so hard for it. You know, I wanted to be here.
Right.
So.
Yeah, man. I'm glad, you know, I'm glad you're kind of bringing this up because I'm sure there's a lot of people, man, you have so many fans down here that were screaming for you to be in UFC for the last 2 years before you even got signed, man. Like, everybody kind of here knew. So I'm glad that you're kind of letting everybody in on that mindset. Always glad to speak with you too, man. You know, we always have some good conversations. And with this in mind, with Texas, I mean, is there really any added sense of pressure now, or is it really just like you're saying, be present? Because I mean, you know, you're fighting here, home city. I mean, not home city, but home state. I mean, does any of that matter, or is it really just, man, I'm healthy as fuck. I'm ready to go out here, dick somebody down, and then show everybody, like, this is what I'm about. Like, this is what I meant to do. This is what I'm doing now. I mean, is there, you know, fighting out of a training camp? Like, what is your mindset outside of being present? Is there anything else, or is it just all focused on fighting, man?
No, not really. I mean, that's the big thing for me. I know there's going to be pressure, you know. That's what we do, you know.
Yeah.
We see the pressure, we see the challenge, the fear, the anxiety, all of that stuff. Anyone who chooses to do this at this level, we see those type of things and we walk towards it.
Right.
We don't shy away from it. So, I've lived a majority of my life in this situation, rather it be competing in college football, doing martial arts at a young age. I've always been a competitive athlete, you know? So, like I said, this is just not one more experience, you know, one more time to feel these things that I've felt ever since I was a teenager,
right?
You know, to step into these pressure cooker situations, you know, and gamble on experiencing a really high or a low that's gonna make me grow as a human being, regardless. You know, it's either gonna be an ascension through some awesome experience of a win, or it's going to be an ascension through coming out of a loss and becoming a better person and growing. And so I mean, that's what these things are about, you know. Pressure is what you use to make diamonds, you know. So there's nothing wrong with being forged,
right?
You know. A fighter, like I said, you're a living embodiment of a weapon, and when weapons are forged in fire. So I don't want to be a dull weapon, you know. I want to be the real deal. So I'm gonna keep putting that pressure on myself, you know.
Yep.
Light me up and slam that hammer down, and let's see how sharp I am. You know, am I the weapon that I think I am? You know.
Yeah. And I think we I mean, of course, everybody here, man, I think we all know you can be, and I'm excited to see what you're going to do in this fight with this fight camp and for this fight, man. It's going to be a fucking blast. One last thing before you go, man. What's been your favorite part about going to Florida? Has it been all this training? Has it been? I mean, what's it been for you, being there? And is it even the weather? Because it's like 28 degrees here. My balls are frozen to my seat. I mean,
I can't even spell jacket anymore. I don't even know what those are.
Has it been the weather? I mean, what's been your favorite part as just kind of taking everything in? What's been your favorite part of this whole experience? Or tell me your few favorite pieces of Florida, whether it's the people, whether it's the fucking weather, coconuts. Tell me some shit, man.
The people, man, just being around other fighters and people who are walking through this journey, you know?
Yeah.
As the fraternity of people who are experiencing what I'm experiencing is getting smaller and smaller, you know? So it brings you closer together, you know? In a situation like this, you become lifelong friends after a week of training together, you know?
Right.
Just because you're all kindred spirits, you know what I mean? Because you're here striving for the same thing, you know?
Right.
And I feel like that with any of these things. I mean, even with my opponent, we will fight each other on that day, you know, but under different circumstances. I end up at his gym, you know what I mean? He very well could have been a lifelong friend, a training partner, you know what I mean? Because there's something, I feel like, for a majority of fighters, there's something at the core where we all, you know what I mean, can relate to each other
right.
on a deeper level. You know what I mean? It's just all under circumstance. So getting to meet all of these fighters at all these different levels, all these different champions, guys beneath me, seeing how hard they're working, trying to get to where I am, guys above me who are still killing it, you know what I mean, even though they have everything I perceive that you want from the sport.
Yep.
You know? That's been the awesome part of it. You know, just meeting all the like-minded individuals who, like I said, who are experiencing this subculture that's become mainstream. You know.
Right. And how does one of the last questions here, man? How does, with Amanda Nunes winning the belt, Joanna Jędrzejczyk keeping the belt, training at American Top Team, does that add any like boosted morale? Do they parade around with it? I mean, what was the atmosphere like when Amanda Nunes came back? Because I know I listened to Dean Thomas. He was talking about she was training Monday after the fight. Is there any added morale? Does this make you feel like, yeah, damn it, I made a good choice? Anything like that? Anything as far as a positive morale boosting for you indirectly? You know what I mean?
I think it makes it real for you. You know what I mean? Okay. But like I said, it's just something that you can take in. You know, it's a lunch pail approach. You know, it's one of those things, I guess, when you let your mind get away from you and you think like, am I doing enough? Is there a magic trick? Is there a supplement I'm not taking? Is there a guru I haven't talked to? Is there a mountain I didn't meditate on? You know?
Right.
And then you see someone like Amanda, you know what I mean, defend it on a Saturday, work on Monday, you know?
Right, yeah.
And it makes it a very A to B thing. You don't have to wonder what it's going to take. You know, you do what you need to do, and then you do what you need to do. So for as complicated as it can be, you watch these people and they work. They work, man. They work.
Right.
So that you want to be the next man up, and you just want to do what you need to do. You know, so you can experience those things as well. And you don't have to wonder because it's right in your face. You know what it's going to take. You've seen it. Yeah,
and I want last thing here, man, and then we'll just fucking wrap it up, man, because I know you want to relax on your day off. I got movies to go to and breakfast to eat and shit. But with you talk about taking the right things, or what I need to take more of. I want to talk about this shit about the USADA thing, man, because you pulled me to the side one time, and it was me, you, and Coach Randy, and you were like, yo, this is on the substance list, and this is on the substance list. Drinking too much coffee is on the substance list. I can piss hot. And I was like, what in the fuck? How often have you been USADA tested? I know it's not a big thing, but as the fight gets closer, you know, sometimes a big, and especially all these fucking changes. What? I mean, man, talk to me about this USADA thing, man. As a fighter, as a UFC fighter.
I wish that I could say I understood a whole lot about it. All I know is I've hung out with them, you know, I think twice, and I'm sure that we'll probably, you know, hang out sometime going into this fight or maybe a little bit after.
Right.
But I know they give us a lot of information as much as possible, but I really try to surround myself with people who can help me out. You know, like I said, that's a part of the bureaucratic process. But I mean, I try to be transparent and responsible about what I'm doing. You know,
right.
I don't take things and then wonder. You know, like I said, my manager, he's awesome about it, Lou. Before I think about it, like I said, I send him a list of everything that I'm thinking about taking, have took, going into training camp, and he checks it against the list, you know. So that's kind of how I handle it. Like I said, I can't even coordinate a training session, so I can't weave through the USADA thing, and I'm not trying to knock them. They make it easy for us, you know. I mean, we have the videos we have to watch. You know, you get the wallet-sized brochures. They have the hotline and everything like that, you know. But it's kind of like athletes are going to be athletes, and we're just trying to, you know, we want to just put all our eggs in one basket and train. So you have to be responsible about that stuff, that type of stuff, and you need somebody to make sure to go over those rough drafts when you're writing that story. You know?
Right.
So I just try to make sure that I have people who pay attention to detail, and I make sure to be transparent and kick all that information to them. You know, so. Because I don't want to be stopped by Walgreens or something, you know. My opponent needs to take me out. I don't need to be taken out by the pharmacy at the HEB, you know.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, I'm glad we ended this on a light note, man. I always love doing that. Jolly, let people know, man, where they can find you on social media. Shout out any of the sponsors. This is your time, man. Let everybody know.
All right, man. I mean, Werewolf of Texas at Instagram, Werewolf of Texas at Twitter. Oh, it's Werewolf of Texas on Facebook. I'm not the greatest about all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to lie, but I'm there. I appreciate the support. I try to put pictures up. I think I like Instagram most. I don't know if that'll get me in trouble, but that one's easy. Obviously, I want to say hello to everyone at the Austin Kickboxing Academy. I miss Randy, Tessa, Coach, all my training partners a lot. I miss those guys. You know what I mean? They're my friends and my family beyond all that. Everyone at 10th Planet, like they've become very close to me. Isik, all those guys over at On It. Like I said, I have such a connection to everyone in the Austin fight community, and it's like a Gracie Humada. I mean, that's one thing that's special about it. I feel like it's one of the few communities where it's like, yes, you can be affiliated and everything like that, but when it up to a certain point, there's almost an open door policy. You can come in and train, and there's a lot of idea swapping. Brazilian Fight Factory. I mean, it's like the list goes on and on, you know, of the places that I've been allowed to come to and train and have just awesome experiences and pick people's brains. And like I said, you may have to get in your car and drive and everything like that, but love the Austin fight community from top to bottom, and I am a product of their selfless giving of knowledge, because I am not a rich man, but I am rich in knowledge and martial arts savvy, because people have selflessly given that to me, even when I didn't have anything to give back. And I'll be forever grateful for that.
Right.
Because let's be honest, I could not afford some of the knowledge that was handed to me on a silver platter, and they just saw my passion and commitment, and they gave it to me, because they just wanted to see me succeed. And I'll keep that with me for the rest of my life,
Right. For sure, man. Well, let me know who I need to send the bill to for this interview. No, I'm just Jolly, always a good time to have you on, man. I'll stay in touch, brother. Train hard, train safe, get that win, man, and represent for Austin, man. Just keep training, do what you're doing, man. We're all showing support for you out here, my man.
All right, love you guys. Texas #1.
My man.
Yeah.
All right, brother. You have a good rest of the day, my man. Peace.
All right, you too.